Okay, so thank you guys for allowing me to come here and talk. I would like for you guys to start out by doing a quick Google search on Indeed.com for AWS Solutions Architect. Now, AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. Now, I'm going to say AWS used to be the largest. I believe that Azure and AWS sometimes trade spots between first and second. Amazon may have overtaken just a little bit because that .NET framework and a few other things are very popular. Also, the integrations. How many guys have ever used that? Whenever you log into a system on anything affiliated with U of L, you have to go through that little sign-in screen. It doesn't matter where you're going into, a Blackboard or your email. You end up going to that little block that does what? Have you type in your email and this, and then when you click sign in, all of a sudden your phone dings and you got to do that duo thing. Is that correct? That is actually a thing called the Intra application, and it exists on the Azure cloud. Does that make sense? So anything dealing with Microsoft integrations utilizes Azure. Everything else is typically AWS. So AWS, Amazon Web Services. It got its start because when Amazon, which used to be, I remember as a kid being a bookstore online. Does everybody remember that? Now we buy everything. I buy everything on Amazon. Literally everything I own comes from Amazon. It's cheap, it's quick, and it's just good options. There used to be so much computer requirements for that website to run that they would sometimes have periods where it was not being used all the time. And so what they would do is they would sell out that unused space and the computational power to other companies and do it. And that became such a popular thing that they expanded that out. And now the majority of Amazon's revenue does not come from that retail site. It actually comes from AWS, right? Okay, and if you guys are ever curious about AWS, I'd be happy to pull up a walkthrough of the dashboard, at least for the cloud. I usually use the terminal, but I'll let you see it if you want to. So the other major cloud provider is Azure. So if you guys want to find jobs that are still in high demand, that still require someone to actually type, build systems, and get things going, Azure and AWS keywords. AWS allows you to become certified with different levels if you want. AWS Solutions Architect, DevOps, all those popular certifications. They may be worth looking at. I guarantee you when you guys typed it in, you probably found several postings for somewhere between $80,000 to $130,000 a year jobs for a solutions architect. Did anybody find something that had the pay kind of range posted? Am I right on that? Yeah, I would say 90 to 130 is probably more typical, right? Okay, now with that said, would anybody be here happy having a six-figure job starting out? Would that be something we'd go for? Yeah, is that potentially a big grab? I will tell you this, almost every time, whenever I was a project manager hiring people, the very first thing that we would do is we would start someone out with a little bit of a low pay, because what happens if things don't quite work out? Firing somebody is getting kind of hard. You know, you actually went through and told them put them on a performance improvement plan. You'd exile them in parts of the company, and eventually they'd quit. That's typically the flow. Now, can I be honest? I am a corporate hack somewhat, so whenever I say these things, please don't be like, gosh, that's a jerk thing to do. That is just the reality of things. Is that correct? I mean, companies don't like to fire people. They find creative ways to get someone just to leave. So the one thing you don't want to do is start them out with a high salary and then they not pan out, right? So they start you out a little bit low. Within that first 6 months, if you're very productive, and I recommend that you should be, you could see anywhere from raises to $20,000, $30,000 within a short amount of time, as long as you show those skills that are in high demand, right? All right, so whenever we do something inside of, like suppose for my classes, whenever I teach upload new lecture notes, what I would have to do is SSH in. If I did things very manually, I'd have to go in and SSH into my remote server. I'd have to copy those files to the server, and then I'd have to bust the cache, that way all the edge networks would know it, and then I could send out an email to the students and say, hey, I got new lecture notes. Does that make sense? That is an onerous process that's no longer there. What we now do is we create a bunch of scripts that start out typically at the repository level, so that way whenever we make a change, it will kick off a workflow, and that workflow will propagate it through all the cloud environments, so that way they build themselves. Does that make sense? So what's the key? Making things robust, modular, and highly reliable. Do you guys think that having a human being sit there keying in a bunch of things day after day is a reliable system? That's no doubt prone to what? Fail, mishaps, delays. So at the very key, you start out where? The repository. So that's what I think a good presentation today would have been, was the repository, and invited me here to speak. And sorry, and I'm very glad that they did. You guys seem like a very eager bunch of people to learn. You guys want to get started with this presentation? Good. Now, if you've had me before, this may be a revamp, but I am going to add some extra things for you guys, since if you're going to invite me to speak, I feel like giving you the premium service. Is that okay? All right. Can I get everybody to do me a favor if you don't mind? Sometimes I had to spend a little time transitioning my screens, but it should be okay. This one seems to be working. This is the GitHub page. Everybody can see that. How many guys have already created an account on GitHub? If you have not created one yet, this is something that you should have anyway. So go ahead and click that sign up button, right? Can I see a show of hands? How many guys have already got one? Is that because you already have one, or Diana primed this for me, or Zaria primed this talk for me, or a little of both, or a little of both? Okay. Do you guys mind? I think signing up is just a matter of providing your first and last name and then picking a username and then an email. Am I right? Is that about it?
I will say, if you're signing up for the first time, GitHub has a student developer pack. In order to use that, you have to use your U of L email.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. You know, used to I.
Email later, but like if you want to use the free student developer, which gives you, I think, unlimited chats with like the premium AIs and a bunch of other stuff for free, you have to use the Louisville.edu email.
Great, that's good advice. At the start of this semester and the previous semester, I was a little bit dated in what I was saying. I was saying use whatever email you want because it won't make a difference. It does actually, because you get student account access now. Yeah. So how many guys are aware that the world is unfortunate in like just a handful of companies are controlling a whole lot of things? Can we all agree that that's probably the case? Does anybody find that like, I wish the world wasn't like that? Kind of, yes. The only thing is that sometimes we just have to accept facts as they exist to make the best of them, and this is one of these things, I believe. Did you know what a GitHub repository is? It's where you store your source code. The IEEE, the ACM, all have standards on how to store your source code to make it kind of meet engineering specs. There's two companies that are very much in that space, well, three actually. Both clouds have dedicated repository space, AWS Commit, and I forgot what Azure calls theirs. I'm very much an AWS person myself. Now, on the flip side of that, we have two other companies that are disjoint, and they're called GitHub, and they are called GitLab. Does that make sense? They're two very similar things. Little different features here and there, but GitHub is by far the leading one. GitHub used to allow all the companies and all the developers of the world have free repository space, and we all used to think, my goodness, wasn't that just nice of them? Guess who acquired GitHub? Microsoft. Microsoft acquired GitHub. And guess what Microsoft is in the lead for right now? GitHub Copilot, which is a generative AI. So how in the world did Copilot, generative AI, become so smart in learning code? It's because they always provided all of us with a free repository space. We'd write all our code, upload it, and then in exchange for that, Microsoft probably utilized that space. Would you guys agree that that's probably true? Now, they'll all say, well, we didn't, but you know, who believes all that truly, right? I don't know if I subscribe to that or not. Okay, so how many guys are familiar with Linux? Oh, we can't have just that few. Raise your hand if you think you should be familiar with Linux. Even history, yeah, come on. All right, so at one point in the world, there used to be an operating system. How many of you guys have ever heard reference to Bell Labs? Do you guys mind if I take you back in a historical trip even before I became around this world? Is that okay? At one point, does everybody remember the telephone company, right? Does anybody remember having parents ever talking about a long distance plan? Are you guys even old enough to remember? I remember. They would buy MCI, WorldCom, whatever. They used to all be one telephone company called Bell Labs. Bell Labs used to be a major research place. It was kind of like the Microsoft back in the 60s and 70s. Well, then they got busted up for being a monopoly, and then that's where you got the term baby bells. That's where AT&T originates from. But AT&T is considered one of the baby bells. Now it's kind of a big bell itself, right? MCI, a lot of those other companies that went kind of belly up, so to speak. But they developed an operating system called Unix, and it was based on an operating system. And then along came in the 1990s, a person named Linus Torvalds. Anybody ever heard of that name, Linus Torvalds? He actually created the Linux kernel. So if you use Ubuntu or you use Red Hat Linux, he created the kernel in which those distributions are built on. Guess what else he built? He built the software tool called Git. Everybody say G-I-T, Git. Right? Git. Well, Git is a tool. GitHub is like a space. Let me see. What's a good analogy for that? Have you guys ever built your own web page? Has anybody ever done that? Yeah. So whenever you built your own web page, you had to have a place to serve it from, right? So HTML probably was the tool that you created it with, or JavaScript, but you stored it at a web server, correct? Think of Git like that. Git is actually the tool, and GitHub and GitLab are spaces where those repositories can live at. So guess what you're creating here? A space for your repositories, right? Okay, so let's all sign into this. All right, how many guys are signed into GitHub now? Do I need to wait a minute, or you guys good?
So everyone signed in to GitHub. Okay.
I didn't see the hands over here. You guys good? Okay, okay. All right, let's click our face here, right? Now, there's something I want to show you. What does it mean for GitHub to be the primary way that we do, everybody says with me, source code management? SCM, right? Source code management is one of the primary things that a software developer or any engineer should know about. And in fact, it's very helpful to anybody that's even not an engineer too. It's where you maintain your code so that way it always stays in a good, stable state that's predictable, and if you ever have to revert back to an old version, you can quickly, right? Okay. Let's click our face here, and let's look at something called our profile. Now this one, as you can see, I've been a little bit lazy this year, but what does it mean for Git and source code management to be the primary tool that developers use, and you walk into a job interview talking about how you're prepared for that next iteration of society and you're prepared to lead into the new coding future of everything, and then it looks like you have no presence on the primary source code management tool. Does everybody see where that's a little bit contradictory? So when you look here, there's actually a lot more green inside of here. It's just hard to see now. But when you click through, this kind of almost, how many guys have ever had like your tweets and your likes and all that on TikTok and MySpace? Is anybody, or MySpace, that's been dead for 2 decades. Is anybody here a fan of any of that? There has to be some people, because I see kids all the time straightening themselves out there in the parking lot of Duthie all the time, right? I see it happen like constantly. They're crossing the road like doing like some sort of thing. All right. Social media, you know how you get the likes and you get all that, correct? And it kind of builds up what you might say a metric for your popularity. Is that fair to say, Ryan? Well, as a developer, your GitHub profile sometimes acts like a social media thing that shows people how active you are. What does it mean to be the primary tool and you have no experience on it or have no presence on it? So when you click through here, you'll see that in the past few years I've been active, maybe a little bit lazier here now, right? Whenever you sign up for a job and you say, I am really experienced in the world of software development, whenever they go to this profile, you should have this marked public. And whenever they go to that profile and they look through you as a student, now they know you're only going to have 2 or 3 years of this, right? Because you're young, right? This needs to light up like a green Christmas tree. And how do you do that? Activity on GitHub. Commits, pulls. Does that make sense? All right. Is everything going with this presentation okay? Or am I failing at this? Or are you guys interested? Feel like this is going well? All right. Let's click our face here and let's click repositories. Let me know when you guys get there. I think you might have walked in a little bit late. Are you up to speed? Are you? Okay. Who all's there? Let's create a repository ourselves. Let's create a new repository. And what would be a good repository name today? I say NSBE demo. What do you guys think? Would that be a good one? All right. Now, as long as it's scoped with my username, you guys could do the same thing. Name it the same thing if you want to. It may make things easier. I have no idea. But you can call it anything you want. Now, let's put a description here. This is the repo created for the demo. Right? Now, what do you guys think public, what's the 2 options? Public and private. What do you think that means? Public means the entire world can do what? See it and use it. How many guys have used free software? It was no doubt maintained in a public repository. Guess what your company probably won't want? Public repositories. Now sometimes companies do. There are companies that make. Microsoft actually creates a lot of services they want you to use, and then guess what? They will develop a bunch of free software that makes it easy to use their subscription type software. Does that make sense? Good. So we've got public. Let's just go with that. Template, a little bit beyond the scope of this one, I'd say. Let's go ahead and let's say README. Template is where like you would create like a repository that you intend to reuse the structure of over and over. Does that make sense? to where like you may create a certain structure of folders. I do that for my C++ applications. You just mark one as a template and you can reuse it and then populate it how you see fit. What does a README do? Everybody say documentation. That's what you do a README for. This is going to explain all the code that's in your repository and how to use it. All right. Now, a git ignore. No? Oh, I thought you. I'm sorry. Git ignore is basically. Can you imagine if there's some files that you don't want to put in that repository if it is public or private, such as one where you may encode like keys for security or passwords. So what you could do is you could say, I want to git ignore. Now, when you guys were in your C++ class, if you've had one, you can. Okay, so I am right here clicking on the git ignore. When you guys were taking maybe a C++ class, do you guys remember how it would compile a binary and you'd run it if you guys have had that class? If not, sometimes you compile a program. You need to compile it on the machine that's going to run because it's dependent on the architecture of the computer, correct? Well, what would it mean for you to upload that thing that got compiled on a computer? Could you use that if it was compiled on my Apple computer? No. Could have somebody on the Surface use something that was on like another computer? No. So we probably don't want that pushed up, right? So sometimes you can select a template, like a C++ template, and that gives it a good starting point. At least it creates it, if nothing else. All right, now, this is kind of really interesting. This is relatively new in the last few days. How many guys are seeing a screen, basically what I'm looking at there? Is everybody on their own? Does everybody see that box down there? You would be not on yours? Yours don't show it? Okay. Now, does everybody agree, when you look around the room, is everybody aware that some people are saying yes, some people are saying no? What this is this is a generative AI thing where if you've signed up to be part of the the Copilot generative AI, it'll make that available. You could actually type in a prompt at the bottom of that and click build, and it will build out your repository as kind of a template to start with. Now, that is still pretty in its juvenile stage. You had to be incredibly verbose to make it work well, and you also have to be very familiar with how you're going to make that appear inside of GitHub with a pull request. So if you guys don't mind, let's skip that, and let's just go on with the bare bones stuff, right? Okay. All right, so everybody's probably seeing a green button down here that says create repository, is that correct? All right, so let's create that repository. How many guys, this is your first repository you've created? Is it exciting? Like you plan on sharing this as the next tailgate party or next gathering at the Mexican, right? I talk about it all the time. GitHub's bringing it up at Thanksgiving and everything. All right, so everybody is seeing something similar to this, am I right? Something similar? Right? Can I see a show of hands just to make sure? All right, so you got your first repository or a repository that maybe you've already had before. Now, I want everybody to imagine this. In software development, are you going to be the only developer working in that Fortune 50 company that you're going to join? By the way, you remember what I said? I suspect that nobody really loves the major companies. Like we never think, boy, they just got my best interest at heart. No one says that, right? But when you're working for somebody, is it sometimes better to work for the ones with deep pockets or the ones barely paying the bills? One of those things we just have to accept, right, sometimes. So whenever you guys join a company, I recommend that you do look for one that's well established, right? Because typically life for those companies are better. You get to go on their retreats. Would you guys like to hear an explanation of what it looks like to be a developer at these companies? Along one entire wall, literally, along one entire wall, there'll be like a whole bunch, every place I ever worked at had the same thing. They had like these dispensers along the wall that would have like candy. Like if I wanted the peanut butter filled pretzels, I just twist that knob and get some. If I wanted the M&Ms, I go twist that knob and get some. If I wanted to get some of those like granola bars, they always have a basket for those. Does anybody here like Keurig coffee, by the way? They always had 4 or 5 Keurig coffees and a few of those kind of fancier ones that I never was always too embarrassed to try to operate in the public where you had to tamp down the coffee beans. I'm too shy to do that, right? I don't know how to make it work. So I always put the K-Cup in there. And then, I've worked at places where they had beer on tap. Exactly. Don't that sound like a liability waiting to happen? I mean, if you got hammered at work, you're probably not going to work there a long time, but they would have events where they'd have the beer tap. Every one of them had like a wall of soda. They'd pick Pepsi or Coke, but it'd be like Coke, Diet Coke, Mountain Dew. they'd have their office folks go buy some of those bags at Sam's Club, and they'd hook it up to their dispensers. Does that sound like a great life? I mean, I think that's a pretty good experience at work, right? And you sit there and you'd have your meetings every day, and then you'd go cold a bit, then you have more meetings, and they would always have like outings and things like that. So it's a great environment. Now, what we have to be clear about is that at the moment we have to understand where our environments are happening at. This is a repository that's in some sort of Azure database in some part of the country, right? This is what we refer to as, everybody say it with me, the remote repository. Now what I was getting at is whenever you work for the large company, you're not going to be working by yourself. You're going to be where? Working in a bunch of other developers. So can you guys imagine the way that you develop things? You always do things in very slow stages. Like if Southwest wants a new seating chart on their airplane, you would basically have a bunch of people doing small changes and making the changes go into the main repository little by little. Does that make sense? All right, so if there's going to be 50 to 100, if there's going to be 5 to 10 people working any project, you're going to have to wait to bring the code in from this remote one to your where? Local computer, is that correct? Now these next few steps is what's going to be dedicated to that. Could I get you guys to do me a favor and go to something called Git Bash. Git Bash. And then does everybody see something here called install for Windows? All right, now here's the thing. How many guys use your Apple computer or a Linux computer at the moment? Is everybody here on a Windows machine for the most part? I think the school sometimes requires you to have certain laptops, is that right? So you probably much have a lot of the same laptops most likely. So the Mac people, you don't have to do it, it's already in there. Linux people, you probably don't have to because you'd use the package manager to install it. If you're on Windows, you're probably going to click one of these two things, x86 or ARM64. If you have an Intel or an AMD sticker on your computer, you're going to do this x86. If you're on a Surface tablet or whatever, you'll probably do this ARM64. So how many guys have picked the right one? Or picked one? Click one and then go through it.
AMD uses ARM, right?
No, probably not. AMDs wouldn't be, I don't think. They'd use the x86 architecture. Now AMD and all the other products, they all make ARM64 versions.
Right, I thought so.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
So who's, yeah,
I don't think my price can download.
why's that?
I don't have a right.
Oh, okay. Does everybody hear? That's an important. Chromebooks don't allow you to do like sometimes direct. Basically, they're somewhat of a what? They're a very enclosed environment. A lot of times for browsing and doing office document editing and stuff of this nature, right? So sometimes we do have a hiccup with that. Would anybody mind would you be willing to sit next to someone to watch? Okay. I can, if you're curious. It would probably take too long for me to do on the fly. I can create you a remote setup for the Linux environment, and then I can set you up with a login if you're curious, if you want to use like terminal commands. All right, so everybody install Git Bash. How many guys have gone through the prompts to install it? Next, next, next. Just go with all the standard prompts, all right? Has anybody got it completed? Version won't matter, as long as you got it. Good? What's that?
I had a question for something else.
Okay. How many guys have got Git Bash installed now? I think we still. You already got it installed all the way? What about the folks next to you there?
Question.
Yeah.
I've got us passing all the tests. We don't even have our own unit test made yet. Is that just something separate from the automator?
You don't have what?
We haven't made any of our own unit tests.
It won't check. The thing about the unit test is when you add them, it'll automatically add those to the unit test. So as long as you got mine in there, that means it's passing. Adding your own. Yeah. I just want you guys to be aware of how to write those unit tests because that'll be helpful. All right. Have you two ladies have got it? Okay. What about you fellas up here? You guys got it?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So we got Git Bash. Here's what I want everybody to know. What did I say Linus Torvalds created? He created this Linux environment, correct? The operating system called Linux. Has anybody ever heard of Red Hat or Ubuntu? Yeah? Okay, he developed that kernel. So what Git Bash does is it actually does a lot of things for you in kind of one big lump sum. It installs a bunch of security libraries for you, and it also installs a Linux emulator or terminal for you. So that way all the commands that I'm going to be typing is going to be similar to what you guys are going to type, okay? All right, now, could I get everybody that's on the Windows machine to now go to that start button and search for Git Bash and fire that up, and you should see a screen that looks kind of like this. When you open Git Bash, you should be seeing a screen similar to that. How many guys are seeing something similar to that? Good, 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 good. All right, so let's do this. In order to communicate with that GitHub repository, by the way, how important is the code that lives on GitHub to your employer? It's life or death, right? How important is your code on there? It's important, right? This is like the portfolio you're going to be building to show employers that you are a grade A developer, that you know you are the real deal, and that you've created some really amazing packages on there that you want to show off in your public repositories, right? So you want to protect it. In order to do that, you want to make sure that it's secure about who can get files from there and who can write to files there, namely just you for the moment, right? The good thing about it is whenever you join an organization, they will give you an opportunity, they'll give you a token to where you can associate your own GitHub account with their organization. And so all the commits that you do at work show up on your profile. And whenever you quit or they fire you or whatever happens, falling outs happen. Does everybody agree with that? Let's say you just decide you want to leave the company or somewhere else. All the commits that you did, you'll no longer have access to those repositories, but you still get it on your profile of all the work that you did, all those commits that you did every day. It still shows up on your heat map as being an active developer. So over the years, you can't say, well, I just lost it all. No, because they all stay. So if you had consecutive employment, it's going to show in your GitHub account, right? All right. Now, in order to do that, we have to generate what's called a public-private key. It's going to be RSA or elliptic curve encryption, and it's very easy to do. Everybody do this with me. SSH-keygen. How many of you guys see a screen similar to what I got up here? Got it? Good. Raise your hand if you got this same screen. Just show of hands. Good. Now, if you are in my 220 or you've had me in the past, I recommend that you don't do this. The way that you kill this is do Control-C. Everyone else, if you don't have that, let's just keep on. Now, I won't be able to follow along because the one thing I don't want to do is overwrite the keys that I already got. Does that make sense? It'll be destructive to me if I did. But I'll walk you through it very easily. Yeah.
Is there a reason why you use elliptic curves? Because I'm pretty sure when you helped us set it up in 220, you gave like a kind of brief explanation, but you didn't really stay on it too long why you use elliptic.
Yeah, so he's saying, why are you dwelling on this now? But in the class, he was like just kind of mulling it over. This guy right here, I don't know if you guys are aware, this person right here is definitely on top of things. Has anybody ever noticed that before? Definitely on top of things. A really skilled person here. Elliptic curve, since he asked, RSA encryption has been the prominent way of doing private public keys since the 1970s. And it's built on the mathematical known fact that we cannot factor things very large. It generates two prime numbers and it uses essentially Euler's tensor or group theory to make it secure. Very difficult to break, right? In fact, there's open prize money in the millions if you can crack that. You'd end up being solving one of the holy grail of all mathematical problems, the distribution of the primes. So that's why it's secure. Now, there was a thing, Peter Shor developed a program that could run on quantum computers if they ever came to existence. Now, this is a little bit science fiction, maybe not quite it's not science fiction. Some of this has changed over the years to where they believe that elliptic curve, which is another form of abstract mathematics, is more secure to the advent of massive computers, GPUs, and what else do we got? Quantum computers. Does that make sense? So elliptic curve technology is kind of the new kid on the block. Not everybody believes that it's as secure because it's less known, right? It's a lot less known abstract algebra, so some people are a little bit shaky about it, but it's believed to be good. The NIST says it's good, RSA is good. So what two primary methods are there for public key encryption? RSA and elliptic curve. If your computer is prompting you for something that says RSA, guess what you're doing? RSA. If it says ID underscore ED 25519, which is, that's going to be elliptic curve. Everybody's computers in here may be doing something different. Does anybody have RSA on there, or is it all ID, ED? Does yours say ED, whatever? Okay. So what I recommend you guys do is hit enter all through those prompts. When it asks you for a password prompt, just hit enter through it. Don't type anything in. Does everybody agree with that? Good. And then at the very end of it, how many guys see some sort of like random mart, they called it? Looks like a bunch of plus signs, dots, and dashes. Does everybody see that? You see it? So good, you got it. Now, I'm going to kill mine because I don't want to override it. What you should be able to do now is do this command, cat, which is the Linux command for concatenate, do .ssh, which is the SSH config file. By the way, dot files in Linux are hidden files. They're not secure, they're just hidden. In other words, they're configuration files. Do slash, and then ID, hit the tab button and you'll see that it auto populates. Then put the dot. Actually, can I show you guys one more thing first? Do ls.ssh/ed. Does everybody see ls list all the files that's in a directory? So does everybody see that I've got this thing called the ID underscore ED 25519, that I got something similar name except it's got a .pub. Does everybody see that? Public key encryption has both a private and a public key. Guess which one you can share with everybody? The public one. Which one should you keep secret at all costs? The private key, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to issue, by the way, if somebody captures your private key, they can become you in a lot of transactions. Your employer, everything else, they become you. Your public key, you can share with your worst enemy and it won't make a difference. Just anything they send you, just ignore, right? So I'm going to do ID underscore and .pub, and why I'm okay showing this on recording is because that is my what? Public key. Do I care who has that? No, all it does is just allow me to send, hey, if you want to encrypt something to me, use this key. And once you encrypt it, you can't decrypt it. You send that to me, and guess how I decrypt it? I use my private key, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight every bit of this, which you guys should too, and then copy it. Does everybody see that? Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back over to our GitHub page, and we're going to click our face. We're going to click settings. How many guys are following along? Good. And then we're going to click SSH and GPG keys. And then where it says, so does everybody see all these keys here? These were keys based on servers that I had to administer at the speed school. These are keys that I had to do things for jobs that I moonlight on, which don't tell nobody here at U of L. We're not allowed to do that, but I do it anyway. I should put that on a recording, should I? Are these guys trustworthy? Okay. Does anybody else here love money? Just wondering. All right. Click new SSH key. Give your laptop a name that you'll remember. Like for her, I would put my White Legion laptop. For you, I'd put my HP with Cardinal sticker on it. Anything that will make you definitely sure you with the let's be F. Okay, well not that. Yeah, we got some strange stickers on this one. All right. Everybody good? All right, give it a name. I'm going to put my silver Apple MacBook. That would let me know what I got there. And then guess what I'm going to paste here? I'm going to paste in that thing that I copied. Does everybody see that? And I'm going to click add SSH key. You guys are going to see this fail for me because why? I've already got this probably what? Does everybody see what it says up there in that red banner? It says keys already in use. So I've already got it. But you guys should probably see a green banner that says what? It's been created. How many guys see the green banner? Good. What about this lady?
I'm still stuck on this.
All right. As engineers, we all do what? Collaborate. Make sure we don't leave anybody behind. Where do engineers shine at? When we all work together and shine well, right? Would you be able to, Frank? Okay. Thank you so much. I'll take it slow so that way we don't leave you behind, okay? All right, so let's go over it. We have a what? A remote repository. Whenever we need to work on code, we have to bring it where? To our local repository. Then when we make changes, what do? We push them to the remote so that way everybody else can do what? Pull them in. Does that make sense? All right, good. All right, so what have we done so far? We just created a key that allows us to establish a connection between what? Our local computer and GitHub. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a way to test that? We do. So what you want to do is go back to your terminal. Let me know when you're there. The git bash. Issue this command, SSH. Oh, by the way, if you are on U of L Visitor, this won't work. U of L Visitor blocks port 22, which is required for SSH communication. How many guys are on U of L Secure? Secure? You're good. So we'll do SSH, do -T. This is the way I would log into a server remotely if I wanted to administer one of the servers on AWS in US, Virginia, or Ohio. But -T means we're just testing. I'm going to type in git@github.com, and look what it says when I hit enter. It says, "Hi, Nathan J. Russell, you successfully authenticated, but GitHub does not provide shell access." That's what we want. What do? We tested the connection, right? And if it says that, how many guys got a successful message out of that? You did not? What happened? Oh my gosh. What did it say?
Yeah, mine is still. I had to reopen it because I still need to go see things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
SSH-T, and then git@github.com. This is what you want to type in. Are you on Git Bash? Hit the Windows key, search for Git Bash, because if you're using PowerShell from Windows, it probably won't work. Do you guys mind if I pause the video and walk around and see how everybody's at? Okay, so it looks like we got folks on board with that. Now, what did we say? We had to take our remote repository and bring it where? To our local repository, which is on our computer, right? So everybody go back to the screen here, and let's click our face, click repositories, and then what did I name us? I think, did I misspell that?
Yeah. I think autocorrect.
Oh my God, autocorrect, that's awful. I'm sorry guys, we're not gonna let that stand. We have to fix this. So I think I can fix it this way. Ah, there we go. Good. Sorry guys, I wish I'd noticed that when it happened. Okay, at least you got it down here. All right, so we got our remote repository. So we're standing right here at code. Everybody click this down green arrow and click this little, by the way, does everybody see you got HTTPS, you got SSH, and you got GitHub CLI? Raise your hand if you see that. We want to click SSH. Has everybody got SSH clicked there? Little green down button arrow. And then let's click this little square box here to copy. And let's go to our terminal and we will do this. How many guys are at the terminal now? Going too fast? Ah. All right, so, yeah. Whoops, sorry. So I'm here at the page, right? Click this green button. Click SSH, and then click this thing. Copy the URL clipboard. Now, GitHub used to allow SSH login where you pass your username and password, but the world's become too bad of a place, so we had to use SSH keys only. Everybody at that point? Are you good? So you got a repository and you're clicking this little button here, is that right? Okay, you click that. Now everybody go over here to your Git bash again. Issue the command git clone and then paste that address. And I don't know, this is going to be life changing. I remember when I did this for the first time, it changed my life. You guys ready? You hit enter and then you watch all of that wonderfulness happen, and guess what happened? That remote repository has now been what? Copied to your local computer. Okay, so just one more time. Do you see, okay, so we're here, right? Now you want to click this down green button. You want to click SSH, and then you want to click here, copy. That copies it to your clipboard. Now you go here to your Git bash, and I'm going to remove that just so we can see it again. You guys don't do this. I'm just doing this so I can start over. All right, so let's assume I haven't done anything. I issue the command git. That's the tool, right? Git. And then we're going to write clone. And then I'm going to paste that thing that I just copied. And then when I hit enter, you'll see that it's actually doing what? Fetching the remote repository and putting it on your local computer. Did it work? I'm always chasing that high. Explain that wonderful feeling that you have. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, you just soon take a beating to do this again, or 10, you can't imagine life without it. 9.7? At least, right? 9.7? What you guys, 9.8?
My SSH key just disappeared.
Oh, wow, okay. Everybody should have this cloned in. You guys are good. Did you get him squared away? Great. We got these folks over here squared away. Good. Now, what we're going to do is, you know what? How many guys enjoy VS Code? Right? So let's go ahead and let's make sure that we know how to make changes to VS Code. So I'm going to open this up, VS Code, open it up. I'm going to share this with my screen somehow. Does anybody see something that says code? There we go. All right. Does this look familiar, VS Code? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my browser. I'm going to open up this, and I'm going to go up here to File, and I'm going to add folder to Workspace. Does everybody see that? Add folder to Workspace? On your computer, it should say that. When you click the file of VS Code. Do you have VS Code pulled up? You guys got VS Code installed? That's okay. I tell you what. You know what? Let me just show the folks that's got it installed. If you all want to install it, you can. I'll have it on recording. I'll show you how to make edits on the terminal. Okay. For those of you guys that got VS Code, if you don't, it's okay. Just give me a minute, and we'll go from the command line. Basically, you're going to open up this demo, and then does everybody see this is like this is just kind of like nothing here, and the welcome. So let's suppose I want to add a file, and I'm going to say, does anybody know what a good file will be? How about hello.txt? Does that sound good? And then what should I put in here? Hello. Does that sound good? Does that sound really cool? Hello, NSBE? All right. So I'm going to save this file. Now, whenever I save that, what did you guys notice happened over here? It started saying that something had changed, right? These are changes, everybody say it with me. These are changes that have happened on the local repository, but guess where they are not? They are not at the remote repository. Now, I want everybody to look at the terminal. For those of you guys that don't have VS Code installed, you can do this. Now this is tricky. Follow along closely because Vim's kind of a bit of a bear sometimes. Do this, Vim, and then let's say we're going to say hello_2.txt. Type that in, and then when you hit enter, this brings up the very old school terminal that we all used to use a long time ago. As a sysadmin, I still use this a lot for quick edits, right? How many of you guys are looking at something like this? Now, this is tricky. You can't start typing because you got to put it in insert mode. Hold your shift key and press the I. Does everybody see that thing that says insert? Is that what you see? Is you saying that? Shift I and you get insert. You guys good? Good? All right, now this means that we can start typing. What would you guys like to type? Hello, everyone at... That sound like a good message? All right, now that I've got that completed, I'm now going to turn off insert mode and go into command mode by hitting the escape button. Does everybody see the insert went away? Now, what I need to do is I need to save and write this. I need to write and then quit. Hit the colon. W means write, and guess what Q means? Quit. So I'm doing what here? Writing and quitting. Oh, you know what? I made a little bit of a mistake. I should be, for you guys who are doing this, can I get you guys to do one thing for me? Do CD and go into that NSBE demo. We weren't in the folder, I'm sorry. Sorry. Are you guys in the, are you in this now? Does it say NSBE demo now?
Yeah.
Now let's go and do Vim, and we'll put hello2.txt. Everybody good? And when you do that, you're looking at this. Can we start typing, or do we need to put it in insert mode? We need to go into insert mode, which is what? Shift I. And then we'll put hello everyone at NSBE. You got it? You guys typed that?
Lost it for a second.
Oh man.
I'll find it.
All right. Remember what I said, Vim is a real headache? So good, I think we got some folks on here. Would you guys like for me to help you create this file? Would you guys mind if I actually just work through these guys with it? So I'm gonna remove what I just did. Don't you guys do this yet, okay? So you're in the repository. So let's create this file. Let's go Vim and type in hello.txt or hello_2.txt. You got it? Good? And we hit enter, you're looking at something like that, am I right? Now we need to put it in insert mode, so we're gonna hold Shift I. Good? Now let's type in hello everyone at NSBE. Good? It don't matter what you type. All right, you good? Okay, now we want to put it in command mode, so hit escape and you should see that insert go away. Did it? Colon WQ. What does that stand for? Write and quit, right? Did you go back to here? Are you back at this screen now? Now, could I get everybody in the room now to do ls? ls means list all the things inside the directory. What do you guys have in there? Does everybody have a readme dot markdown? Does everybody see you have, I should have a hello text because I did that on VS Code. And then everybody should have the hello_2, right? And if you want to see what's inside hello, you could type in cat and do hello and then type that out. And guess what that'll do? That'll show you the contents of the file. We already used cat to display your file contents of the public key, right? Does everybody see that? Good. Now, here's how many guys have got a new file in there. Okay, when you do ls, just make sure. When you do ls, does everybody see at least one more file other than readme in there? You guys got more files than just readme in there? Okay. Here's what I want everybody to do. Type in the git status and then hit enter. How many guys see you got something in red there?
It says fatal, not a git.
Oh man, okay. Do me a favor. I need you to do CD. What did you name it? NSBE or Nubs when I misspelled it?
Nubs.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's propagated everywhere. I'm so sorry. So I didn't spell it. It auto-corrected. I think it's one of those things. So do CD space and then type in NUB and then hit tab and it should auto-complete for you. Does it say Nubs demo now?
Yeah.
Okay, hit enter.
Okay.
Now, this is where you want to do that Vim. Do you want me to do one more with you? So
Then hello_2.
let's, yeah, well, I'm going to do a different one. You can do this with me because I can't do the same file. So I'm doing Vim hello_3.txt. You good?
Yep.
Did you go in? The guy beside you, did you CD into Nubs there?
he's good. He put NSBE.
Okay, so is he in that folder now?
Yeah.
Did you do CD, NSBE, demo, and then? Okay, so type this out. You've already typed it. We'll have him type it out, right? Hello _3.txt. All right. Now you should be looking at a screen like this, correct?
Yep.
Good. Now we can't start typing yet because we have to put it in what mode? Insert mode. So hold the shift key button and press I. Did yours go to insert there? All right. And we're going to type in hello NSBE. Good. Now we need to save it, but we can't do an insert, so we're going to have to what? Hit escape. Hit escape turns insert mode off, and we're going to do what? Hit WQ. Now everybody do LS. How many guys have got some files there other than README? What about you folks? You got it? Okay. You good? Now everybody do this. Do git status. By the way, does everybody know what Vim did? Vim just created a file, right? That's all it did. Is everybody clear with that? There was nothing magical about that. That just created a file. A hard way of doing it, but we did it. You guys good? All right, so we got NSBE demo. What does git status show? I have 3 files that are where? On my local repository that have not been committed to my local repository. So I'm going to do git add and then hit a period. Period means everything. Git add period. And then hit enter. Now hit get status, and these things should be green now. Are they green?
Yep.
Are they green? Good. What about you guys? Are they green? Okay. The first thing you do, git add period. Is that good? And then do get status. Yep. And do they see green? Okay, so at this point, I think most of the room is up to speed on this. Is that correct? That's following along there? Okay. Now, all we've did, everybody say it with me. Get status just tells us what we're doing. Get add, everybody says what we stages. We've staged our new files. Now we're going to commit them, and here's how we do that. Follow along closely, because if you don't do these quotes right, you could put your terminal in a bad state. So just be aware of that. It gets a little annoying sometimes. So we're going to do git commit -m double quote. Well, when I say double quote, how many got? You know how you got the apostrophe? In computer science, we call it double quotes, and you put the quotation marks. And then let's put a message in here. What would be a good message? My first commit, would that be a good one? And then close the quotation marks there. Is everybody good? You good? Okay, so everybody ready? You hit enter, and how many guys see something like this where it said I created some sort of whatever, node, whatever?
Saying, please tell me who you are.
Oh, damn. Okay, so we got to do this. Golly. Do you guys mind if I do a quick Google search? Because I have to remember the syntax. Since she doesn't know your name yet, we have to tell it. Okay? So git config name. Let's do that. This is what you have to tell it. Copy that. Does everybody see what I typed in up there? Git config name. You have to tell, well, does everybody see that? How many of you guys have found that same thing? Copy that entire from git config -- global username. Copy. paste that in there, except guess what? Instead of your name, you should put what? Your name, right? So what would I put here? Nathan? That would be me.
I think it's.
Did it work?
I think so.
Okay. It probably didn't say anything. It probably just didn't error, right? Likely just went there and just printed out nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how many guys have got that typed in there? These engineering tools, they take effort, don't they? A lot of effort sometimes. She's like, I'm a history major. I'm not into it. No.
As long as they continue to do great things, I will always have them charged.
Right, yeah. As long as we keep moving forward in the world.
Keep doing great things and being iconic, I will always have them charged.
And if it stops, we're all doomed anyway, right? So
I will still have a job.
you'll be talking about the day it doomed, right? Yeah.
Literally.
Did you get it? No? Okay, let me. Okay, so we've simulated making a change. We went over here, we clicked just to make sure. We went over here to the code, and when we pushed it, we realized that we had pushed this code. Now, whenever we click hello text, I made this small change. So now my remote repository, by the way, watch this, cat hello.txt. Does everybody see it still says hello NSBE? But on the remote one, it says what? New change? I need to bring what? That remote change to my local computer, and guess how I do it? Everybody do this. Git pull. Did it work?
Yeah.
It did? So now if you do cat hello text or whatever file that you changed, does everybody see now my file no longer says just hello NSBE? It says what? Hello NSBE and then new change. Is that cool? All right. So now you guys have done what? You know how to establish an SSH key. Guess what? You never have to do that again. You've already sold your username and password. If you change your computer, you have to do it again. You know how to do what? Create a repository, clone a repository, make changes, then stage, commit, push, and also pull, right? Git pull is how you, that does what? Pulls in the remote changes to your local. Now what happens if you make a change? You have to stage, commit, then push. Everybody see the power of that? Now the cool thing about it is what happens if you make changes to code that is not quite in a good state. You can actually revert back to a previous commit and put your code the way it was at a different time. Isn't that cool? Okay. All right, so that pretty much wraps up my presentation on that. Sorry it took so long, guys. I hope it wasn't too boring. Did you guys find this insightful? Cool? All right. Is this you all been nice or was it actually fun?
I'm not gonna lie, I will be telling my girlfriend about this. Already sent the pictures.
That's what I would do. Yes. So from now on, your dating life has changed. What happens if you have a significant other and you start talking about GitHub or Git, and they say I'm not interested? You say goodbye. This is not going to work out, right? What if you find somebody that loves it? Just go ahead and propose. Correct? Yeah. You found the right person. All right. Well, thank you guys for your time, and that's going to end it. If anybody has any questions, let me know.